I can't voice that same confidence about the judge. I think every mistake he could make in terms of erring against the defense, he did. His sentencing sounded like a campaign speech, and this is an election year. I disagree with almost every decision he made during trial. There are many appellate issues which are going to be fleshed out because of his decisions. Having said that, I don't want to distract from the Gillis family's whatever artificial sense of closure. And I say artificial because there's a wonderful book that anybody who's grieving should read called The Myth of Closure by social scientist Pauline Boss. There's no such thing as closure with grief. As long as there's love, there will be grief. I learned that when my own brother was murdered in 1979, and I've lived with that since then. So this case, the people, the defense, we all upheld the integrity of the judicial system. Mistakes were made. The appellate courts will sort it out. And I stand with Art's statements that my heart does go out to the people who knew and loved Kaylin and are grieving for her loss.
Speaking of Judge Michelini, as you mentioned, he had some strong words to say. This is the only opportunity we get to hear from the judge in this way during a trial and a proceeding. Some of the things he said, what stood out to you? What do you find problematic?
Well, the first huge problem I have with what Judge Michelini said was the first thing he said to me before Kevin Monahan was ever arraigned, before there was grand jury minutes to read, before there was evidence, before there was testimony. And he acknowledged this on the last day of trial. He turned to me and said, "Kurt, this is a simple case." Now, no one who has ever tried a homicide case as a defense attorney or a prosecutor would call any homicide case a simple case. I can only conclude that before he took the bench, Judge Michelini never tried such a case. That set the tone for the rest of his participation in this trial. It wasn't a simple case. There were dozens of witnesses, hundreds of exhibits. He was proven wrong by the district attorney. It was anything but simple. He denied our use of expert witnesses. He denied the charge of criminally negligent homicide. He prompted the people to object. He objected himself to defense questions. I have never seen a trial in which a judge severely limited the defense's right to cross-examine, as this judge did to Mr. Frost. So, the history of what I object to what the judge said goes back to his very first sentence, that this was a simple case. So I'm very mindful of the fact that we have a bizarre way of selecting judges in New York State by popular election, and I'm very mindful this is an election year. I don't know if that had anything to do with what he said from the bench today, but I mean, I can see it from both sides. That's my lawyer training, but I also see that he made many errors that are going to have to be sorted out.
Lastly, did you get to speak with Kevin? His reaction in the moments after the sentencing today?
Well, that would be a violation of attorney-client privilege if I disclosed what Kevin said to counsel. So I'm not going to do that.
Can you share his emotion at least?
I'm not going to do that. That's the same. That's the same. Sorry, don't mean to be
no, that's okay.
an obstructionist.
So, next step, appeal. You're mentioned you're very strong and confident that an appeal will go through in this case.
Attorney Matthew Hugg is going to handle the appeal. He's a highly skilled appellate attorney. There's lots of issues. If you look at the filings that I wrote in terms of the motions of limine and the memos of law on issues such as expert witnesses, jury charges, etc., he's got a solid foundation from which to work, and I'm sure he'll review the transcript and use his own judgment also. Here's Mr. Frost.
Mr. Frost. Hi. Hi. Good. How are you? I'm Sabrina Dami, Channel 13. Let me get this out of your way. Got blankets in case we're cold. Can we grab a quick word from you as well? We were just speaking with Mr. Monster.
Sure.
And firstly, we asked him about reaction to the sentencing, and obviously it wasn't what you asked for, but I want to focus on one thing you said and how you said you developed fondness for your client throughout this. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, as I said, not just fondness, but love. Any attorney who doesn't love his client, or at least some part of him, is the wrong attorney for that case. And I've gotten to know Kevin over the last year or so, and there are things that happened here that I don't like, that I in fact hate, but I don't hate my client. I love my client.
Can you share his reaction at all after the sentencing? Anything he said or his emotion?
Well, it's exactly what you would imagine it would be. We knew what the sentence was going to be, or suspected what it was going to be when we came in here, and it was what we expected.
Okay. Next steps now?
We'll file a notice of appeal for him. Once that is filed, I will hand the case off to an appellate attorney, someone who specializes in appeals. That's what Kevin needs. And, he has some grounds for appeal, I believe, that are strong. And, I don't believe that his defense was lagging in any way, but he may think that, or his appellate counsel might think that, or the appellate division might think that. And if he wants to throw us under the bus, do it. He's fighting for his life.
Thank you very much. Thank you.